right, so we are on our last section of material for this first exam. It is the uses of percentages in statistics. It is section 2.3 in this book that we are using. So we are converting a percentage to a fraction. We'll drop the percent and divide by 100 to simplify. Or we can look at it as moving the decimal places. Another way to look at it, convert a percentage to a decimal. We can drop the percent, move the decimal 2 places to the left. And then to convert a decimal to a percentage, we'll move the decimal 2 places to the right and then add the percent sign. It's also seen as multiplying by 100. And then to convert a fraction to a percentage, convert the fraction to a decimal, convert the decimal to a percentage. So we've also got things that are called reference value. That's your starting number, the original. And the new value or compared value, that's the changed value. We have absolute change is the actual increase or decrease from a reference value to a new value. And it'll be the new value minus the reference value. That's the amount that it changes. The relative change is the size of the absolute change in comparison to the reference value and can be expressed as a percentage. So relative change would be like the absolute change or the reference value. Our absolute change was our new value minus our reference value, so we can rewrite this if we want and just do the new value minus the reference value over the reference value. Okay? And in both cases, you multiply by 100%. So you're moving that decimal place. All right, of versus more than. We're using more than. Look at the relative change in the population. Relative change, again, is your new value minus the reference value or the reference value, which is what we have from up there, times 100%. The of is the ratio of the new population to the original population. So we've got the new population divided by the original population. Okay? So what is the change that's happening? All right, so of versus more than or less than is if the new value is a p% more than the reference value, then it's going to be 100% plus p of the reference value. And if the new value is p% less than the reference value, then you're going to take that p% and subtract it from 100. And when we're talking about percentage points versus the percent, when you see a change or difference exposed in percentage points, you can assume it's an absolute change or difference. If it is expressed as a percentage, it probably is a relative change of difference. So that's just a little bit of the vocabulary part of it. Let's actually go look at some applications. So we have example 1 is a Harris survey. And in a Harris Interactive survey of 514 human resource professionals, 90% said the appearance of a job applicant is very important for a good first impression. What is the actual number of respondents who said this? All right, so we're looking for the actual number. So in our information, we were told that 90% represents the fraction of respondents, right? Of usually indicates multiplication. So 90% of those applicants, of the human resource professionals, think that that's important. So they're the respondents, right? So if we're looking at 90% of 514, that means we're going to multiply times 514, but we got to change this first. So this will become 0.9. We can put the second zero there or not. I don't care if you put a 0 in front of the decimal place, times 514. So we don't multiply with the percentage sign. We got to change it to a decimal. And that'll get us 462.6. Now, can we have a 0.6 part of a person? We cannot. We talked about having a partial percent of cows. We don't want partial percents of people. So we are going to round this up to 463 because our 6 is 5 or more. so it'll cause it to round up. So always use the common rounding rules that we've learned in our world. If it's below 5, if it had been like 462.3, then I would have left the 2 alone. But because it's 5 or more, I rounded up. So we have 463 respondents. That would be 90% of our 514. All right, now we found that 463 of the 514 respondents said that their appearance of the job applicant is very important for a good first impression. Okay, just to clarify what we've figured out. Now, I think that was all we had to find on that one. Yep, the actual number of respondents. Okay, so we're going on to number 2. So world population growth. Estimated world population in 1950 was 2.6 billion. By the end of 2015, it had reached 7.3 billion. Describe the absolute and relative change in world population from 1950 to 2015 and express this change with an of statement. All right, so example 2. So for example 2, first of all, we're going to look at our absolute change. And our absolute change, again, is going to be the new value minus the reference value. So our new value is our newer dates, our newest data, right? So it said that in 1950 was 2.6 billion, and in 2015 it had reached 7.3 billion. So the 7.3 billion is our new value minus our old value or our reference value from 1950. And this will get us 4.7 billion change. Okay? So over the course of those 65 years, from 1950 to 2015, the world population, the estimated world population, went up 4.7 billion. All right, now we want to find the relative change. This is part A on the handout. So the relative change is our new value minus our reference value divided by our reference value and then multiplying by 100%, right? That's the relative change. Well, we've already found that top part, so I'm not going to show that subtraction again. I already know that's 4.7 billion. And the reference value is that 2.6 billion. And then I have to multiply that by 100%. I've put that in my calculator, and I will end up with 180.8%. So the relative change, the relative change is 180.8%. So the world population increased by 4.7 billion people, and we could, depending on what they're looking for, you could also call that 181%. About 181% during that 65-year period. It's a big change, right? It's almost double. Double would be like 200%. All right, let's look at part B. Part B says to express this change with an of statement. So if the world population in 2015 was 181% more than the world population in 1950, if you recall, for that of statement, we take 100 plus our p%. So if it was more than, we add. If it's less than, it's minus. Now in this case, we are percentage more, right? So we'd be the same percent plus we've gained this. So because we have 100 plus 181%, this is that P part, right? The P percent. Then we get 281%. So the 2015 population was 281% of the 1950 population. And so, let's see, so the 2015 population was 281% of the 1950 population. Now we could also talk about the fact that if we take this off a percent and change it to a decimal, we could say that the 2015 population was 2.81 times the 1950 population. So we could also state that. And I only say this so that we can have a further understanding that the 2015 population was 2.81 times the 1950 population. So almost 3 times as much as what we're seeing, okay? So this would be your of statement. It's this percent of that. All right, example 3. Does this make sense? The price of a gallon of gas, there should be an of there, sorry, of gas has tripled. So it has increased by 300%. So does that make sense? Well, it does not. So let's do a little bit of simple math to figure that out. If the price tripled from $1 to $3, if we take 3 minus 1, we actually get 2, right? So the amount of $2 is actually, $2 is 200% of the original amount. So let me go back over this one. So did it make sense that it tripled in price? Well, no. So if we triple, if we start with an easy number like $1, I mean, I know today it's like 4 something, but we're going to use 1 because it's easy to multiply. So 1 times 3 would be 3. So it's tripled in price, it's $3. But the difference between them is only 2. Even though it's tripled in price, the difference is only $2. It's not $3. And so a $2 increase is only 200% of the original amount. It is not 300, and that's why it does not make sense. All right, so you have your last set of homework for this section of material for your test. You also have another activity. This is for errors and percentages. So this went with the last section and this section, so make sure you do that. It's another 2-sided. You're finding the absolute and relative errors, trying to get that done. The other thing that you need to be working on is your exam review. So your exam review is also in D2L, so make sure you've been working on that. And there is a key at the end of it so that you can see if you're getting close to the right answers. There's 17 questions. This is what you can expect to see on your exam. You need to make sure that you know the vocabulary words, and then you've got some questions on the different types of problems that we've covered. So make sure you're working on your exam review as well, and check all of the information in D2L for anything regarding that.